Millions of people who live along the ocean have had their lives upended by hurricanes this month. 40% of Americans live near the coast and are experiencing how climate change is fueling more intense storms and faster erosion. For tonight's Eye on America, CBS's David Schechter takes us to North Carolina's Outer Banks, where the question of how to keep the ocean at bay has been weighing on residents for decades.
Living on North Carolina's Outer Banks, photographer Daniel Pullen has seen the thin line between living on the ocean and falling into it.
If you could bring some of the old timers back from the dead and drive them around, they would just be like, what? Why did you build your house there?
In the last 40 years, the Atlantic has toppled 10 homes here on Hatteras Island. Pullen captured this one crashing down just last month.
I can't believe I'm watching a house disintegrate into the ocean.
And while less than 70,000 people are permanent residents, to make their living, many of them count on the more than 5 million people that visit each year.
I think people are meant to live on a barrier island, but I don't know to what extent do you have a massive economy on it.
This narrow strip of sand is called a barrier island, and it buffers the mainland against the force of the ocean. In the eastern U.S., barrier islands cover 2,300 miles of seashore, and naturally, they're always shifting.
Out on the water, we met Reed Corbett, an oceanographer who runs the Coastal Studies Institute. He works with the community, finding ways to adapt.
The way we are developing on barrier islands and living on barrier islands, like, how does that change the nature of what the barrier island actually wants to do?
Large dunes, houses, the infrastructure that stops the transport of sand across these barrier islands, which leads to a more vulnerable barrier island.
One solution, protecting waterfront homes by rebuilding the beach, pumping sand out of the ocean onto the shore. But that can cost upwards of $25 million. And with rising sea levels and more intense storms driven by climate change, the new sand that used to last 5 to 7 years is now being washed away in less than 2.
The economics won't work always. Yeah. I think we are on the Outer Banks. I think we're getting to that point.
What's unique about the Outer Banks is almost all of the beachfront belongs to the National Park Service. It bought this home and another and demolished them. Dave Halleck ran that pilot program, and unlike the 10 properties that fell into the ocean, the buyouts prevented homes from littering the beach and ocean with dangerous debris.
We consider this a mitigation program. None of these owners built their houses in these locations. When they were built, there was a backyard, dunes, maybe even a back dune area, and a large white sandy beach. And it's just that erosion in the ocean has caught up to them.
Take somebody that grew up in their small little hometown their whole life and just like, hey, go live somewhere else.
Is there another way that this should be or could be managed?
There's a way it could be managed, and it's to let a barrier island exist the way a barrier island is meant to exist. In order to do that, it means things will look a lot different here. I probably would have to move.
Barrier islands, where people hold tight to a patch of sand that's slowly escaping their grip. For Eye on America, David Schechter, Buxton, North Carolina.